Yeah, so here we go again. Hi there, I'm Ben. This is Solo Therapy, my substitute for psychotherapy. The date is Monday, the 18th of November 2024. The time is 5:36 in the AM. I am still in Sunday's waking phase, for my circadian rhythm is currently screwed, for practically 2.5 months of no occupation, one of which I was a student but didn't have anything to do. Um, I managed to sustain a circadian rhythm, and now it has finally broken. Well, it probably broke around last session, but that's just how it is. Um, I have a major point I would like to address today, which is my autistic journey, my tism journey, because I did start addressing it last session, 188, but I kind of got distracted, I guess, because I found a great transition into another topic, which is not in the spirit of things, but oh well. Um, we'll be having tea again, the usual, for Japanese green tea, Gyokuru Nakatani, um, from my favourite tea joint. Well, my go-to tea joint. It's not like I have any others, so yeah. With my autistic journey, I did did get some doubts whether that's where it started, but because there is doubts, I'll just assume it started there, because before then I was not human anyways. Which is at the age of 13, my parents, particularly my dad, had suspicions about me being autistic. Um, went went to get tested with what would end up becoming my psychotherapist from then on out. So they have been my therapist for a dozen years now. Crazy how that worked, but my dad made sure they'd give me their contact details in case I needed a therapist. Which means I got someone specialised in autistic people as therapist. Admittedly, I did not pass the test at the age of 13. I believe it's because I was too good at understanding emoticons on cards. Presumably because I'd learnt them. Because that's how it works. This means happy. The problem is when this is not happy. But the cards didn't express things that they did not mean. So I failed that then. A year later or so, I did actually, perhaps less, perhaps more, I honestly don't know. But I actually reached out to the, diagnostician and therapists for them to become my therapist, because I had become rather depressed. They were my therapist on and off from then on out. On and off because I did go to mental hospital a couple of times due to being depressed AF, wanting to unalive, harming self, etc. Not just in the form of tobacco consumption, but with pointy things. I never attempted unalivement, for what I believe I would have succeeded, so I'm quite happy I didn't, because, one can have a net positive impact on the world if one is alive. Stopping being alive is a net negative impact on the world. At least assuming there is people who care for one. So went at the age of 16 and 17, mental hospital, 3 months each time. Went through therapy. Second time I was thrown out due to substance abuse. Because, surprise, people who have not much to live for. Sorry if I keep touching the mic here. People who have not much to live for are happy to try just about anything to feel something. And if they are offered substances, they'll probably accept them. So I got kicked out of stationary therapy it was. yeah, program DBT, dialectisch behaviorale Therapie, so behavioral therapy. Done it first time all the way. Second time I got kicked out for substance abuse. That would have been what? 2017, 2016, 2016. Then I didn't see my therapist for a couple of years until I was in my voluntary social year, which was end of 2020, beginning 2021. No, end of 2019, beginning 2020. There we go. Got my timelines straight. And I was really rather depressed again. Don't know why in particular, but I reckon the pandemic did do a big part in it, surprise. Went back to my therapist that I had been seeing on and off, and we'd decided to have another go at diagnostics. And that's when I finally passed the test, mid-2020-ish, low contact, etc. Times of the world, you know. Yeah, that's when I passed my test and I found out I'm actually proper autistic. Before then it was kind of in the clouds. The one thing off about it is once I had my diagnosis, because I'm too straightforward and I can't fucking lie, how cliche, I told people, oh, I'm diagnosed autistic. A lot of people, including former teachers of mine I respect to this day, said, oh yeah, wasn't it obvious to you? As if a child with no prior life experience would know what autism is or that it exists. For there is plenty an adult who, when you tell you are autistic, do not know what to do with said information, because they don't know what that label means. You know. But apparently it's just a societal norm, and I do understand the idea of, I am not a mental health professional. It is not on me to tell people they may be autistic, for they could perceive it as an insult. Good news is, I am autistic, which means I can now tell people, you might want to get tested, without them perceiving it as an insult, because I myself am. Same as I am allowed to speak with the German accent. This is a German Coast Guard. What are you thinking about? Because I'm German. Which is just a societal norm we have come to accept, that if you're part of a minority, you are allowed to make fun of said minority. In my opinion, it's theoretically okay to make fun of any minority as long as you do it indiscriminately. So as long as you make fun of all of them. But that is not the societally accepted norm. I hope I'm not too quick with this, because last time I used a smooth transition, topic-wise. I ended up cutting this too short, but I believe I've gone through the journey. I guess one last chapter to it. Last year found out I could apply for legal disability, which I did and I passed. First attempt. So I am legally disabled. I believe I mentioned that before in some previous sessions, but you never know. As to telling people they may be autistic, now that I am in the position, which is also conjoined with the second to last topic of last session, I may end up telling my future chief, presumably. I do not have a contract, so theoretically is not signed deal yet. It's not a done deal, but I believe we both believe it to be a done deal, so I'm hoping to not count my chickens before the eggs are laid, you know. And I know it's the eggs are hatched, but you know, might as well remove one further. Because we'd had that talk on Saturday about what being autistic means and so on, and we hadn't previously talked about just something like that exclusively ever, so I hadn't considered it, but I reckon they are autistic. They're of the opinion, oh yeah, we're all a bit crazy, but they're autistic. Not a mental health professional, but oh well. I also reckon they don't care to get a diagnosis. Age-wise, they are closer to my dad than me, and my dad was most certainly autistic, and he did not care for diagnosis. So that's based on a sample size of 1, and the fact they haven't gotten a diagnosis, though they may be eligible. I reckon they won't care for diagnosis, but I believe they may very well be autistic. I say it's a done deal, though we haven't signed any contracts. I believe they are of a good character. Additionally, I believe they're autistic, so they're getting that extra trust of, ooh, we're both autistic, They don't know it, but, they still got the trust. The additional trust to just being a fellow human, to being a fellow human who happens to be autistic. And we get along, we've always gotten along. I've known them for more than a year now, surprisingly. I believe them to be of a good character. They certainly need people to do jobs. We'll get into what jobs particularly, unless I've mentioned it last time, in which case we'll still get into it because I don't have recollection of mentioning it. They certainly need people, and they haven't even listed the job publicly because they came to me and I said, oh yeah, I'd be interested. I was apparently the first person they came to, which I do believe them. We'd previously talked about me perhaps joining them in their ventures, and I would have even considered it had the rental stuff worked out, which I am happy now that it did not. But I would have considered it had that worked out, so it hasn't worked out, so there's no reason to not consider it. The pay will be, well, first off, the pay will be consistent from starting training to working. It'll be slightly below the industry average for that field, but not much, so I'm not too worried about it. I'm opening up Pandora's box in the moment and try and figure out what I want from a job, but only money is certainly not it. It's funny how that works, It would be a switch of field. Currently I am a Bachelor of Arts, so creative. That would be theoretically, legally speaking, an apprenticeship. Though they're still working out the kinks of that, and the apprenticeship is a secondary thing because they qualify for something else beforehand. Small electrician's license, basically. It's not like there's an actual license, but that's what I'd translate it as. And the job would be making sure electronics used in businesses, either by customers or by employees of businesses, do not kill the customers or the employees of said businesses, assuming they use them and don't abuse them. If you take a hairdryer and stick it in a bathtub, is not always a good idea, no matter if you're in a business or not. This and water, not a good idea. Surprise. I believe that a good human, which is difficult for me to say because I've believed it so many times in the past, and so many of those times have I fallen on my face. But, I don't think they do it for the money. They like it as their niche, and it's also their hobby. I get the impression. We spent, 5 hours sitting there talking, smoking, drinking coffee on Saturday. They do not work on Saturdays. Well, they're the chief, so they always work. But they do not intend to work on Saturdays. That's their leisure activity. For they can't actually go out and do the job of going to businesses, making sure The electronics do not kill employees or customers of said businesses. Interestingly enough, longer than I've known about this person doing that and me potentially having an opening in here, I'm saying potentially. In my head, it's not really. In reality, I should really be considering it a potential thing. It's not real yet. I'd been looking at things like that for longer than I've known about this person, this opportunity, potential opportunity. And it's crazy how many businesses, for example, educational or so, have electronic devices that use more than 50 volts because, surprise, they plug into the wall, you get 230 volt AC out there. That means in a business environment it needs to be checked on a regular basis, recurring basis, anywhere from, for construction stuff, every quarter year theoretically, to, if in the past few enough have failed with repeat tests, below 2%, that is, it can be up to 2 years. Some do up to 3, but theoretically that's outside the law. So the regular interval would be 1 year, and for, well, half a year, and for construction sites, construction equipment, it would be quarter yearly. That also means this job is as if I were becoming a chimney sweep or a what's it called? Mortician. There we go. Took me a moment. Because the business will always be, and the only way one can stop being qualified once one is qualified is by being grossly negligent, mouthful, and or intentionally doing harm or not doing one's job, which is not things I intend to do. Or if businesses stop using electronic devices that plug into the wall, which I reckon is not going to happen. Now for the thing of, what do I want from a job? Why get a job? I mean, I'm not getting it yet, but I should be getting it retroactively soon enough for the past month and a half. Citizens' money is hella good money and you don't got to do nothing for it. So why get a job? And surprise, it's not just bread. I mean, yes, okay, being able to pay one's bills and have a bit of spending money, a bit of saving money on the side, that is certainly an advantage of a job. But I don't need to make 10 grand brut for that, you know, or 5 grand brut. As long as I keep my bills low, I can get away with living expenses less than £1 a month, which means anything minimum wage or up go, for covering my living expenses and having spending money on the side, and putting some of the spending money aside. Realistically, I also want the opportunity to grow into the job, with the job, to bear responsibility. I would like to have a net positive impact on the world with said job, because it's kind of my purpose in life. And I mean, hell, I might as well do that while I'm doing my job, you know. It's way more efficient that way, other than just slaving for the man during the daytime and then trying to do your good for the world at night. I mustn't have ethical conflicts with it. It should be catering to my strengths, whatever the job is. Yeah, I would like security. All of this is stuff I believe this job will does tick boxes. This job does tick. So I reckon I'll probably just end up doing that. The one thing is, with citizens' money not having come through, and this career coaching being both in my interest and in the interest of my potential future employer, for all but the actually getting me a job of the coaching bit. I would like to still continue the job coaching, and I'll find out tomorrow, so Tuesday afternoon, which is still more than 24 hours, but it is tomorrow, at least by date. Waking phase, it should be day after tomorrow, but I might just sleep in long and then get up early on Tuesday. We'll see, magic. And they have offered the potential future employer, that is they, for me to do an internship there at first, so I could keep on the dole, and so I could do the career coaching, which is in my own interest for covering my own arse sake, in my own interest for growth, and in their interest for my growth. So that's something I'll have to figure out with the career coaching people on Tuesday, day after tomorrow. No, not day after tomorrow. Tomorrow. Good news is on the schedule we just have photo shooting, which they have me put on a real flimsy shirt for. I tested it last time, test fitted. It's real flimsy. Like, there's no point in wearing it. It don't cover you. I mean, optically do, but not in any other way. Which is part of the reason I'm not so happy with the career coaching at this time. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to end up in an office. I would love to get around. Oh, that's another one for job criteria. I'd love to get around, not be in the same place all the time. Also, inter-humanitarian get around, not just the same people. I like technology, but I don't want to sit at a desk code away all day. But something engineering or technical is what I mentioned to the career coaching people before. I had an idea this might come through. And this is something engineering and technical. It's electric engineering, which is rather technical. Admittedly, it is examination of applied electrical engineering, but also serves the purpose of making sure people do not die, which is a cause I can stand behind, Today's snack is the same amaretti cookies we've had for plenty of these tea therapy sessions. I'm considering later this week making some shortbread thingies, because why not, Fingers in my ears. No, just kidding. I still got to clear up my place a lot. In the end of the day, I do want to be able to live comfortable with whatever job I have. So I don't mind it not being full-time. With this potential job I have lined up, potentially, it's not fixed hours. It's a guideline for how many devices a week you should be doing, which is fair enough. And I reckon once I'm trained, and once I can do it by myself, which will be, more than half a year's time probably, I'll get to figure out how to most efficiently do it in the way of speedrunning work. The agreement would be, if this is your workload for the week and you're done Thursday, you can not come on Friday and cannot leave your place on Friday, which is something I'd happily do, The idea of more free time. I mean, it's the business attitude my dad had later in his life. if it pay the bills is good enough. I'd like a bit more than paying the bills. I'd like a bit spending money, a bit money put for aside. But as long as it's not minimum wage, that's covered. And this would not be minimum wage, so I'm happy. I like driving, so I would like a commute, if not driving for work. In this case, I would be driving for work. Occasionally to cities elsewhere in the country, in which case work would pay for hotels there. And I'd get money for driving, so highest legal possible compensation for kilometres, which I believe is 39 cents a kilometre, which with my current primary car, the car I have on the road, shit, sounds snobby if I say primary car, the only car I have on the road, my Volkswagen van, which the past therapy sessions happened in, it'd be about break even if you include wear and tear. If you assume wear and tear adds up to about as much as the diesel. At this time, because diesel prices will probably go up again, but if diesel prices go up, so will the legal maximum quoted per kilometre. So with this car to just be break even, but I honestly don't even mind that because I like driving in my car. It's not quite a Jaguar. Yeah, something I generally like. So I've agreed to them if I can do the career coaching parallel to actually being employed from the side of the career coaching people, I'd start employment beginning next month. I do not have a contract yet, just to be fully clear. If that is not an option, then I may very well start an internship the week after next. So, week after this, next week. And I reckon it's about time, even if it's just an internship, because sitting around on my arse, playing video games, procrastinating about clearing up the flat, which I am going to have to do within 10 days from now, because then I've got visitors coming. Which means I will be doing it, it's just I'll be doing it all the day before. Shit. Visitors' mum and sister, by the way. Hi, Mum. Oh, by the way, I'll use this opportunity. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching this, watching me think things through. It truly means the world to me. Yeah, so it's about time I get off my arse and stop sitting around procrastinating clearing up my flat. If I got actual work to do, I got a reason to clear up my flat, because it's a distraction from what I should be doing. Funny how that works. Considering I am currently just a guest, for no one is paying for me to do the career coaching at this time, they may very well be up to keep it going in a slow and steady pace, which is the pace we've been at so far, an appointment a week, with me having a job, which is something I probably wouldn't mind, actually. I mean, the potential future employer have stated it is in their interest for me to be doing this. I wouldn't be of much use for the first few months anyways. I'd be learning, surprise, and getting the qualification necessary to be able to do it. The small electric license, kleiner E-Schein, Elektrofachkraft für festgelegte Tätigkeiten, there we go, mouthful, which requires at least 80 hours of education, which can be 2 weeks, but realistically, most of it will be on the job, and then some theory for a week or so at the office. Don't mind, could be worse. So realistically, if I miss out half a day for the first few months, half a day a week, I don't think that'd be all that detrimental. One thing I really like about this potential future employer is Well, there's actually several things. One thing is they don't do negotiations for pay, but they offer respectable pay. So that's absolutely lovely. All the people doing the same job, which is all the people they employ, get the same pay, which basically means it's like a tariff. It's just a unionless tariff, which I don't mind, because why do the fucking chess game of, oh, but I'm worth more money, and oh, could I have a report on how I've been doing so I can look for other jobs in case you don't give me more money. I don't want to have to do that, and they don't want to have to do it, which is good news. Great news, in fact, you know. Another thing I like is they believe in me, I guess is the best way to put it. For they have stated I am intelligent enough to ace all the theory and practical exams for the qualifications. And they know this, they've stated it multiple times. And I guess I'm just fond of people liking me and believing in me. I don't know. It's probably something human, you know. It's kind of funny how that works, but it's actually a light at the end of the tunnel, the light at the end of the tunnel, that is closer than it was for the past month and a half. Before then, there was a light at the end of the tunnel that was closer than this one is, but probably not the same quality light. Lower color rendering index. Ha. Nerd jokes. Nerd. Yesterday, earlier this waking phase, I done film club. I actually showed up late for a change. 11 minutes late, but still late, you know. Because, surprise, it's on the other side of the river. There is bridges leading across, but all the ways getting to the closest bridge, the bridge I usually use, where traffic jammed, which means I had to take a minor detour to the next closer bridge, which wasn't actually that bad. Worked out surprisingly well. Glad to say that is. Film club went longer than usual, which means though I did have the head of the club confirm the numbers I've written down, I don't think they actually confirmed them, which is kind of a bummer, but you know, that's their thing. I mean, I checked the numbers, I haven't made mistakes thus far, but I am not confident enough to say I will not be making mistakes, because, surprise, I am human. And humans make mistakes, and that's perfectly fine, which is why you need systems as redundant to humans. For example, multiple humans, or yes, it's only double digits I'm adding up, but I'll add them up using a calculator, not my brain or a piece of paper. Piece of paper is probably just as good as a calculator, but I didn't even have a piece of paper with me when I'm there, so you know. I could do it in my brain, but it's just another variable. If I just type them in the calculator, it's bloody stupid easy. Can't do it as wrong. And if your checksums don't add up at the end of the day, you can always look at the calculator and see, yes, I entered the number, yes, I entered the number, yes, I entered the number. Another thing I've done with Film Club is the treasurer went there Sunday. So I collected dues. I actually still have Film Club money in my wallet, in my pocket over there. Trousers on the floor. It's not too much, and I ain't too worried about it because I have it on the other side of the wallet as to the money I use. But it feels kind of odd having money that is not mine. I mean, I've done it in the past. Hell, 2010 to 14 when I carried out newspapers, I had a lot of money that went mine. But you know. Today the water tastes different in tea, even though it's from exactly the same source, guaranteed, as the last few loads of tea I've had. The water and the tea, that is. The water's back from the home country, where I filled some canisters, some jugs, 22-litre jugs, which I have in the past labelled with only drinking water, just because the water down there is way better than here. Here's real hard water, and back in the home country it's lovely water. But because it's been in the canister for about a quarter year, I do still heat it nonetheless, no matter if I use it for tea or not, because I don't want pioneer's disease, you know. Don't gotta risk it, don't gotta challenge fate. I have phoned the people at Tango Hotel Whiskey, THW, Technisches Hilfswerk, THW, just to go out there and have a look around and talk with them and see if it's even a match. They've given me an email to write them about joining up and getting a tour there. I have yet to write to that email, and I deem it highly unlikely to happen this week. So I reckon the earliest it'll happen is next week that I have written an email by. With this future job, it may not work out with THW, but you know, I reckon it can be made to work out. It depends on them, though. I don't know how flexible the organisation is, THW that is. The word email just triggered something else I would like to mention about the professional aspect, which is I have had one Google account since, God knows, 2008 or so. Today I have made another Google account, which I aim to use professionally only. So bread making roles, just to keep the noise separate. If I get a work phone, I can use that account for that phone. If I get emails work related, I can have them disabled for notifications in certain periods if I want. I can have them prioritised in other periods. But it's kind of odd having created another Google account more than a decade and a half after the first. Shit, man, that made me feel old. Kind of funny how that works, eh? When I say a decade and a half, some of you might even think, oh, that's not that long. Sorry, I have bad news for you. If you think that's not that long, you're probably older than me. There we go, fancy tea. Haha. I really got to clear up this place. Another thing I've done recently, I've now done it twice, so I guess it is starting to become a trend, is when going out to buy tobacco, or instead of going out and buying tobacco, I've been buying chewing gum, which is what I've been chewing all the time here, just to chew gum, and not my own gums, because I have chewed those plenty, particularly like in bed or when I can't be asked to get up, or when I'm not able to get up, or when I'm trying to go to sleep. I've been chewing these gums all over. It's not healthy, so I got chewing gum instead, and it also helped me reduce nicotine consumption in form of tobacco, just because it gives my mouth something to do. Because, surprise, the muscles in this area are probably my best muscles. Just because of the things I do, I'm really rather competent at talking a lot. And I can rapper talk as well if I like. I have considered in the past, and I am still considering it somewhere, just for funsies, doing some music sometime, purely on the computer, using a DAW, but main focus has been my own lyrics and speaking in myself, or reading or singing or whatever you want to call it. But that's just a thought experiment, really. No, meh. Oh yeah, interesting enough, I had the sneaking suspicion of not having covered my autistic journey properly last time I talked, even though I'd had it as part of my minutes, part of my notes. I had the suspicion, and I did confirm that, first off by re-watching the section of the video, and second off, I found that section of the video due to YouTube's amazing automated transcript for subtitles. Because surprise, I don't use Journey that much. I believe in this session I've used it 4 times. I don't know, might have used it more. But that was quite Control F-able. Not F to pay respect, but Control F to find. Or I guess it's Command F for Mac people. Magical. Last time I went and bought tobacco, I actually bought something I've been meaning to for a while, which is a 50-pack of the papers I use, which is just a pure emergency backup. And because I happen to have this brass Rizzler holder, got it from my dad. He'd gotten it from auctions in the 80s, I believe, with a bunch of lighters. I have used it in the past when I had Rizzlers, because they usually come in 50 packs. But now it just sits on my shrine, because first off, I don't have 50 packs usually. And particularly because it does sit on my shrine, I've decided I'm making this my redundant backup papes. So no matter what, I should have 50 papes on my shrine. Because I am aspiring to quit smoking eventually, but that time has yet to come. Currently I am just reducing, and I am successfully reducing. Funny how I'm saying that, but it's fucking true. Even my 60-day average is currently below my global median. Admittedly, it have been in the past, but only once intentionally. The highest drop, the furthest drop in my 60-day rolling median was actually with me having the Rona a bit more than a year ago, I believe it was. Quite a lot more than a year ago, almost 2 years ago, but still. That's when my smoking behaviour dropped the most. Surprise. If you're not able to get up, barely to even wake up while lying in bed, you aren't going to be smoking much. And that did affect my global trends quite a lot. My all-time median since 30th of September 2020, which is when I started the statistics, have been about 24. Saturday I did go above that with 27, but beside that usually I'm below, and Saturday I did have a long day. First off, meeting with my potential future employer, sitting there smoking, drinking coffee. I had 9 cigarettes in 5 hours. But they were fun cigarettes. They were just social cigarettes, you know. Depending on the circles you are in, it would be a couple of joints, but surprise, responsible examining is not joints. And I mean, I like driving, and I drove there, so I wouldn't have toked if I were offered, because I don't drive and do drugs, kids. First off, if you're doing drugs, be educated about it and all. Second off, if you're a kid, you shouldn't be watching this, but by the side, even if you're educated, make sure you cannot do irresponsible things while under the influence of substances, such as drive a car. disconnect the battery beforehand if you have to, you know. Funny how that works. Battery is another thing. Shit, man. Abductive thinking, you know, magic. But with the car, I got a new battery not that long ago. Fairly confident I'd done videos around that time frame. These therapies, solo therapy sessions. The battery's still good, but I reckon I may be stressing it a lot by not getting out the car right after getting somewhere, but leaving the ignition on, leaving the music running. And I usually do start the car and let it run for just a minute before I leave the car for good. But I believe I'm risk averse enough that once I do have an income sorted, because I have a lot of space in this car, it being legally a goods vehicle, a light goods vehicle, an LGV, I may very well buy a second battery of the very same kind I already have installed and just sticking it in the back, not hooked up or anything, just so I can jump off of it if I need to jump, or change over the battery if my current one have gone down the hill. A booster pack would also be nice, but those are hella expensive in present batteries, and I won't be able to justify that for at least another year, probably more. So once I have an income and I have some of my debt paid off, I'll probably end up buying another battery, because that's way cheaper than a booster pack. I have the tools I need to switch batteries. I mean, what do you need? A 10mm socket and a 16mm socket and a ratchet, and that's all you need to switch over the batteries. So it's kind of, you know, it's 3 nuts, undo and do up again. One for each terminal and one for physically holding it to the car, because you don't want a block of lead flying around if you slam into something, or if something slams into you. Funny how that works, you know. Because lead acid batteries would make one hell of a projectile. And this being diesel, I do need a lead acid battery, because I don't believe these days we do have any technologies that provide the current required in a dense enough package at 12 volts. Well, 12. I mean, now it's sitting at 12, now that the car's been sitting for best part of 9 hours, maybe 8. But now the battery's sitting at 12 volts, and when I get in it, it'll start. Obviously, I'll let it do the glow plugs first, and only when the light go off do I actually crank it, because I'm being responsible. I like to treat my shit, you know. Like. Not like as in thumbs up on videos or so. Do that if you please. Thank you very much if you do. But like, you know, like I was saying, yeah. Funny how at work, magic. Oh, another thing which I guess I'll see as a bonus, with that potential future job. I believe it's kind of standard, but I like it because for me it's something I'd spend my money on otherwise. But should I get that job, should I end up with that job, it would be provided, would be a work uniform clothing, which interestingly enough would be procured from the same catalogue seller, distributor, as my own uniform, which means I can say, ooh, some more of this shirt, and I'll get it paid for. I mean, I understand people usually get work clothes and shit, but I actually get to pick my work clothes and get them to align with my private clothes, which means then I can get away with buying fewer shirts myself and still having more than enough shirts and trousers. my current winter trousers, the ones I'm wearing every day these days, they have gone to the point where I should really patch them. In the groin area there is some rather big splits in the outside cloth, but because they are winter trousers, they have an inside cloth, so I haven't bothered. You know, as long as no one care, and realistically people don't look at other people's groins all the time, so nah. Thanks a lot for sticking around, watching me talk, figure stuff out, listening to me talk, figuring the stuff out. Hope you can figure some stuff out in your time as well, all that you need. Hope I'm a bit closer to knowing what I want from a job. Hopefully you know too. I'll see you around. Stay safe. Cheerio.